Thanks for joining us here at 11. I'm John Adams. The search for a missing woman from Beaverton ended today with her neighbor in custody for murder charges. Police have recovered Melissa Jubain's remains, but have yet to say exactly where she was found. They believe 27-year-old Bryce Schubert is involved in her disappearance. Our Sydney Dorner spoke with a neighbor to learn more about the victim.
Oscar Cardenas met Melissa Jubain years ago while working at the Nike company store when they were both students at the University of Portland, saying she always wanted to help people and reach her goal of one day becoming a nurse.
Such a hard worker, such a sweetheart. And being a nurse, that's like just the most selfless career ever.
They kept in touch over the years through Instagram.
She had such a beautiful life and just such great people around her. Every time she posted on Instagram, she was so happy and just so, I don't know, just glowing.
Both settling down at the same apartment complex in Beaverton off Southwest 160th Avenue and Baseline Road, where Melissa went missing on September 4th.
This area of town is just so quiet and so calm and so safe, so it's just shocking that something like that would happen here.
Setting off searches by family, friends, and most importantly, Beaverton police. During their investigation, police said they learned Melissa's neighbor, Bryce Schubert, was involved in her disappearance, arresting the 27-year-old on a charge of second-degree murder.
It's like, how is this happening in my own backyard, my own apartment complex? But yeah, it's just terrifying, honestly. It's scary that, somebody could take away such a beautiful life, so young too.
Recovering Melissa's remains, but holding off on saying exactly where.
I can't even wrap my head around it. It's just so heartbreaking that it would happen here, and we're just gonna miss seeing her beautiful smile and just light up the energy around us.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
Melissa was a registered nurse at the Providence St. Vincent Medical Center close to her home. Providence says they are holding her family, friends, and coworkers closely in their hearts and prayers. The Oregon Nurses Association is inviting the public to join Melissa's colleagues for a vigil Monday night. It's scheduled to begin at 6 at Ridgewood View Park. Developing tonight, police in Astoria arrested a man for murder after a deadly stabbing at a homeless shelter. Officers were called to the Helping Hands Outreach Center on West Marine Drive sometime after 2:15 this morning. Witnesses reported seeing 58-year-old Stephen Foxon stabbing the victim. Police brought Foxon into custody about 20 minutes later. The victim was taken to the hospital but died of his injuries. The department asked anyone with information to reach out. In Washington, search and rescue teams found the survivor of a plane crash this afternoon after the aircraft went missing Friday. WSDOT also confirmed they found one other person dead. A search and rescue team was called just after 3 when a World War II era plane broke away from its 3-plane formation and never arrived at its location. They left from the Enumclaw area and were headed to Hood River for an annual fly-in fundraiser. The crash site was found about 3 hours later in the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, which is about 12 miles northwest of Stevenson. The identities of both people have yet to be verified. The investigation is now in the hands of the NTSB. Yesterday, we learned the names of the 3 people killed in the plane crash last weekend in Fairview. 2 were on board the plane, another on the ground. A warning, some of these images are difficult to watch. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office identifying the pilot as 73-year-old Michael Busher of Beaver Creek, along with 79-year-old flight instructor Jacqueline Whitford from Glendale, Arizona. 75-year-old Barbara McDonald also died when the aircraft crashed into her home. Federal transportation investigators say the twin-engine plane took off Saturday from Troutdale on a maintenance test flight. The pilot reported issues controlling the aircraft after takeoff. Well, it's too dark to tell now, but it was another day of hazy skies across the Portland metro area. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri joining us now. And Joe, I think a lot of people out there are ready for this smoke to move on out of here.
Well, yeah, we're going to have to wait another day because most of tomorrow is going to be smoky and hazy and warm. Now, even though we saw that thick layer of smoke earlier today in the haze, we still saw temperatures close to 90 degrees. Had we hit 90, it would have been the 28th day so far this summer where we've seen temperatures 90 or above. So So tomorrow we'll be looking at that smoke and haze a good portion of the day. I have down there afternoon clearing, but it's going to clear out later on in the day. But by the early part of the afternoon, temperatures in the low 70s. I'm expecting to see daytime highs right around the low, potentially the mid 80s in a few locations. I think you get closer to the mid 80 mark into the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. As we look at the smoke and haze, I want to show you the air quality throughout much of the state. We're either in the good or moderate category. You travel near Mount Hood, it's unhealthy for some sensitive groups. That's just because how thick it has been over the last couple of days, and it's not going to really let up a whole lot. So here's the hour by hour. We'll put this into motion. Here we are tomorrow morning just before 10 o'clock. Yeah, it is thick throughout parts of Bend and Redmond into southern Oregon, and it will start to lighten up a little bit along the Oregon coast. That's your best bet to go if you're trying to escape the smoke, at least for tomorrow. And coming up in my detailed forecast, Sean, I'll let you know just how cool things get over the next couple of days. And with that cool weather, I'm also tracking some rain showers.
All right, Joe, thank you. We'll see you in a little bit. Oregon's wildfire season picking up yet again. Yesterday, Governor Tina Kotek invoked the Emergency Conflagration Act for two separate fires. They're the Rail Ridge Fire in Crook and Grant counties and the Shoofly Fire in Wheeler County. These are the 15th and 16th conflagrations this season. This action allows the state fire marshal to send resources to these fires. As of Friday, there were 23 large fires in Oregon. New tonight, one person is dead and another in the hospital with serious injuries following an early morning crash in Battleground. Just after 12:30, officers were called to Southeast 17th and Eaton Boulevard. They arrived to find a crash between two motorcycles. It's not known at this point if speed or some other factor caused the crash. Later this morning in Oregon, one person was killed and several people were seriously hurt after a head-on crash on Highway 6. It happened on Highway 6 near the town of Banks. Banks Fire District 13 said crews responded to 3 head-on crashes today. And along the Willamette, Clackamas County deputies Friday recovered the body of a Beaverton woman who went missing last weekend. The sheriff's office identified her as 34-year-old Cortland Fricker. The search for Fricker started last Sunday after a caller reported that she fell off a boat and did not resurface. Well, a pair of crashes in Portland Friday night sends 2 pedestrians to the hospital. The first was just before 8:40 at Southeast 158th and Division. Police say the pedestrian had life-threatening injuries. The intersection was closed while a crash team investigated. The second crash happened less than 30 minutes later at the intersection of Northeast Halsey and 137th. In this case, the pedestrian is expected to survive. In both cases, the driver stayed at the scene and were interviewed by officers. Well, a small food truck business has been forced to close its doors for now after facing massive damage from being hit by a car last week in East Portland. Our Celine Stevens spoke with the food truck owner who says he's only been open for business for about 3 months. Celine.
John, yes, it has only been a few months that the Burnsider food truck has been operating, and now the owner has been forced to close up shop until he can afford to fix the truck and start over.
I've been having to constantly purchase and work on stuff, for a while now, and now I have to kind of do it all over again.
That's Michael Frazier, owner of the Burnsider food truck. Tuesday, just before midnight, a driver, later identified as 49-year-old Linda Gibson, hit the back of the food truck, causing what an officer described as massive rear-end impact.
They crashed into this, which luckily it's empty, but a lot of my grill legs are bent on the inside.
Gibson then took off.
A whole bunch of my neighbors were all around my truck with flashlights on, and I went out to see what was going on and saw the damage behind us, and they were like, somebody hit your car.
Gibson also had her 7-year-old daughter in the car with her. A witness was able to tell police where she went, leading to her arrest. Frazier and his partner were fortunately not in the truck when it was hit.
Knocked this thing 5 feet off, up the curb and almost onto the sidewalk.
Now, with the truck not being usable any longer,
yeah, it's stuck on.
Has put Frazier, who left his job nearly 2 years ago, in a tough spot.
I just ended up spending all of my time for the past almost 2 years just trying to make this work. I put all of my savings into it.
Fortunately, his partner has a source of income, and he's now waiting on insurance to come and assess the damage. However, he says with a lot of the truck's interior being custom work, it still likely won't cover the entire cost. Now, he hopes people will donate to his GoFundMe.
The community's really shown up for my business the past like 48 hours. They've really been, helping me plug away at stuff. So like we've raised, a good amount of money so far, but like it's going to be a long process.
Now, while Gibson and her daughter were both not hurt, she is facing charges for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, recklessly endangering another person, and failure to perform the duties of a driver. She was not charged with impaired driving, and while she was arrested that night, she was released by Wednesday. John, back to you.
All right, Celine, thank you. We'll